right. Hey, Edge Traders. This is Joe Hicken. I'm here with Scott Smith. Scott, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, pleasure. Yeah.
So Scott, you've been a member for, you said 18 months now, is that right?
Yeah, coming on to about 18 months now.
Okay, perfect. And for those of you who don't know, Scott, we love Scott. He's been an amazing, member of the community, always willing to help and share it. So we really appreciate you being on here. And I will say this interview in particular has been highly requested. For those who don't know, Scott is a very successful Titan X trader. You've been trading Titan X on your personal funds. Has it been about 18 months the whole time? Or?
Yeah. I think I joined maybe a little bit before then, 2 months playing on demo, and then
Gotcha.
month 3 put 10 grand in, and then increased it to 87, and then held off at that and grew it from there.
Yeah, and Scott, will you tell us how from 87, how far did you were you able to grow it?
Yeah, I took it to, let's have a look, 324 grand.
Yeah,
it was a little bit higher than that, but I got out of a few things when the Ukraine crisis hit, and on one of the accounts I took 4 grand hit just to get out. Before things got a little bit spicy, and then but yes, 324.
Yeah, I mean, when you've made upwards of 250K, four grand loss is nothing.
yeah, and that at the start would probably have worried me, and thought, I've lost 4 grand, but the more I've done it, the more I realize it's often 10 steps forward, 1 step back, and it's more of a business thing rather than I've lost 4 grand. It is I've still achieved X type thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to reiterate, so you put in 87 grand, you were able to grow it to 324 grand, and you said that was 98% using Titan.
Yeah, probably about 300 grand of that was Titan. Sometimes I think it was 2 or 3 times there was like weird situations where a pair would that hadn't been that high for like 7 years and under a lot of pressure, and the minute it pulled back, I put some big lots in there, and I think the biggest day I got like 28 grand.
Yeah.
So I think another big day I had 14 grand.
Right.
But apart from that, the rest of it was just Titan. It was kind of Titan really though, because it was Titan that was showing me that this was under so much pressure.
Right.
Everything was stopped apart from that particular pair because of yoga, and then when it started to pull back, I felt confident to put even more in.
Right.
So it still was kind of a Titan-ish type strategy. Yeah.
Right.
Just loading it a little bit heavier before the rebound.
Gotcha. Yeah. So that's incredible. I know a lot of people are anxious to emulate what you've been able to do with Titan X and do it for themselves. And I know you get lots of messages constantly from people asking, what are your settings? And just give me your magical settings. I'll put them on mine and I'll have the same success. And you were mentioning before we started this interview that that's really not how it is, and that there has been some management involved. And so I think just as kind of a general format, what we could do is we can go through your settings. I know people really want that, and so we can go through those, and then if you could also just chime in and mention, either while we're going through the settings, you can explain those, or afterwards, just kind of how you're able to manage Titan X, especially when things get tasty, is what you said, like when things get a little bit out of control. How do you kind of gain control back and keep everything in control? So okay, cool, that sounds good. And then we'll just take it from there. So I have your settings loaded up here, so let me just share my screen. Perfect. Can you see my screen here?
I can see that. Yeah, see that perfectly. Yeah. Just one thing as well, this is what I've been using for quite a while. It's basically copied from Raymond, who's helped me out a lot with this. So it's not exactly my strategy. It's been working really well. But before this, I've tried lots of different things, and they all kind of work. Like the main differences has been like the lot multiply and pip step, changing them around. So I can earn more money on smaller levels of trades, but obviously it's harder to get back to break even. And so to me, the main thing was making sure I've always got enough pips room on the risk calculator. So this is what I'm using at the moment, but there's probably loads of different connotations it will still work. Do you want to earn more money up front but harder to get out of a tricky situation, or less money and easier to get out of a tricky? I really like this one that Raymond's done, because it doesn't seem to earn a lot when you first start, but then once it gets like 5 or 6 levels in, the 1.5 makes it really easy to kind of pull back, get
Right.
you out, and then you do earn a nice amount on that bit as well. So you almost kind of want the trends on this setting.
Right, right. And you know what? Speaking of that, how many pips are you trying to budget for here?
It depends on how I feel the market is. My default is if everything seems nice in the world, then about 400. And then if I think things might get a bit risky, 500. And then if I'm a bit concerned, it's 600. I do the calculator on the 38 pip step.
Okay.
But what I found is because it's set on the candle filter every hour, the reality is it probably averages out more closer to 50 pips.
Right.
So it's even safer than it looks.
Right. Right. Gotcha. So when you said, you know, when you know things get a little bit heavy in drawdown, that's when you budget for more. What settings are you adjusting to budget for more?
That would be starting lot size.
Gotcha.
It's more what I kind of feel. You know, daily I just check a news app for Forex to see what's going on. So if there's potential crisis, or there's a new strain of COVID or something that was happening, I would just go in, and just in case things get a bit bouncy, I would go and increase the pips risk in this by lowering the lot size.
Gotcha.
So that's what I did. And then when things look like Putin might invade, I thought I've never traded through anything like that, so I want to get out as soon as possible. Put yoga mode on at like $2, and then got out of all of them but one, and then just manually hedged out of that one to get out safely then.
Gotcha.
So it's more how I'm always kind of looking for, is there any kind of black swan event that might happen? And if there is, just calm it down. And if that black swan event doesn't happen, go back in again at the kind of the default 400, 500 pips risk.
Sure. Gotcha. So you're basically trying to prepare for a situation where you could have more than usual volatility. What happens if you find yourself in that situation, so you weren't able to see it coming beforehand? What would you do at that point?
With this strategy, I have a lot lower yoga mode kicking in. Before it used to be like 20%. With this, yoga kicks in at 10% and comes off at 7%. So it calms things down to give me more room anyway if drawdown starts to get big.
Gotcha.
Have it set to maximum of 10 trades, 10 ladders, sorry. So then when it hits that, first thing I'll do is take it to the 4-hour chart. So then it just slows down the entries, with the candlestick filter, just to slow it down a little bit. And then what I'll have a look at is almost kind of manually trade it from that point, have a look at support and resistance levels, see where it might go to. And then also why what's causing it. If it is something crazy like the Ukraine, to me the support levels below it were probably redundant because that was such a crazy situation. It's probably going to smash through those support and the resistance levels underneath it.
Right.
And and kind of see how bad could it get? What do I need to do? And then I'm also thinking, if I don't like the situation, is it worth me just bailing and maybe losing 5%? If it's doing 10, 15% every month, and then a black swan event happens, hopefully not very often, rather than trying to fight it, one thing I'm considering, do I just bail on it as well?
Yeah, just take the loss, and overall you're up 5% for the month, and so you're fine.
Yeah. Because what happened with Ukraine, yoga kicked in and it got the kids out of everything, so they didn't lose anything. A friend of mine got out without losing anything. We did some hedging on that. 3 of my 4 accounts got out with no issue, but just one of them, EURNZD, got stuck. I was still stuck in that, so I hedged out of that. And then when it came back up to $4,000, and the news was all over the place. I didn't know it was going to get better or worse. I thought I'll just take the $4,000 hit and just get out of it.
Gotcha.
Easy life.
Gotcha. Well, I apologize for kind of jumping around here. I know we said we'd go through this first, and then we're going to talk about kind of your management afterwards. And actually, I just have one more question before we get into this. You mentioned that you said that your kids' account. So again, for those who don't know, this is like a follow-up interview. I think we interviewed you, what was it, like a year ago?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, about a year ago. Yeah.
Okay. So, and it's so great to, see you here a year later, and you're crushing it even more. And it's amazing. And actually we'll end with kind of talking about what your current strategy is and what you're doing now. But yeah, I remember in that interview, you mentioned that you were going to teach your kids about trading and Titan X and help them. And it sounds like you did that, and they have accounts. Is that right?
Yeah, they have accounts. They're on a lot lower kind of risk than I am. I just find it's easier with the bigger balances, because like lot size increments and stuff like that. And also, they got busy lives. They can't keep checking it and jumping in as much as I can. But yeah, they've probably done about 25% in about 6 months.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, they've taken it from to. Yeah. So yeah, they started with 10. They started with less, but I found it really difficult on a lower amount the way that it works. So we topped it up to 10 grand.
Gotcha.
And I think that, probably about not too far off 13 grand now, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. How old are your kids, by the way?
20 and 18. So my goal really, ideally, is to give them a little bit of a cheat code in life, that they've got this on the side.
Right.
They're both like into performing, musician and performing arts. So I was thinking if they want to take a gig that doesn't pay that well, it doesn't matter. Hopefully Forex on the side is giving them the lifestyle that they want.
Sure. Yeah, super cool.
Yeah, very cool.
All right. Well, let's go through these settings here. So looks like you have a fixed lot size amount of starting at 0.01. Is that right?
Yeah. And I used to do it on the risk calculator, but now what I basically do is work out what that would be per X amount. So I can auto scale it as well. Okay. Normally auto scale would normally be on that as well. But because I've come out of everything, I've taken that off. But yeah, I'd normally auto scale it because I'm looking to compound and not take anything from it.
Gotcha. So you said kind of as a minimum, you would look at a $10,000 account. Is that right?
Yeah, the way I like, yeah.
Okay.
More for the way that, especially with the 1.5, is that it doesn't get respected. Obviously, that 1.5, if you start off with a 0.01, the next one is going to be 0.02, which is obviously times 2 rather than the 1.5. So I find it kind of skews, it can make it a little bit kind of top heavy compared to what it would be if it's a little bit bigger account.
Yep, makes sense.
And that per cash amount would be what I would change as well. So, if let's say it's at 0.1 to 1,000 and something in the news is like maybe that's going to affect the world a little bit. If I was really concerned, I'd probably put yoga on and get out of it. But if I was just a bit apprehensive, I might take that to maybe per 2,000 or per 3,000. So when it wins and it gets back in, everything's just calmed down a little bit. And then if it doesn't happen, I'll just go back in and set it to the original, per 1,000 type thing.
Okay. Hey, edge traders, I just wanted to jump in here really quick at this point in the video and clarify about the lot size. So Scott and I, we discussed after the call, and we needed to clarify this one point. So Scott's actually not running 0.01 per 1,000. Rather, he's running 0.01 per 10,000, 15,000, or even 0.01 per 30,000, depending on how many pairs he's using. So really the most important thing when determining lot size is going to be budgeting with the Titan X risk calculator for that 400 to 600 pip range. That's the most important thing. And so whether you have $10,000 to start or less or more, the most important thing is going to be budgeting with the Titan X calculator for the 400 to 600 pip range. And actually, the other thing that goes into that too is how many pairs that you're using. So if you have less money to start, then you're going to need to use fewer pairs. Whereas if you have more money, then you can use more pairs. And that's really important. And it's actually better with a strategy to use more pairs on more conservative settings rather than less pairs on more aggressive settings. So if you can, you want to use as many pairs as possible, but with a smaller starting lot size, if that makes sense. So anyways, I hope that makes sense, and we'll get back into the video. Okay.
But I'd say anyone who's thinking of doing it, I would always put it on demo for a while and back test and maybe do 2020 as a back test, something like that.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's really important, just so that kind of going back to how people are messaging you and just asking for the magical settings. I think it's important to run these settings for yourself, either on demo or backtesting. Like you said, backtesting is nice because you can kind of speed up that process. That way you just get an idea, psychologically, of what to expect from the system. I think
and for me as well, running it on multiple when things are a little bit rough, like 2020, and obviously like this year, the first 4 months with Ukraine and that, it gives me a little bit more confidence that if it can weather that, then it's no guarantee obviously for the future, but I should be able to hopefully manage my way out of anything even more nasty if it can survive that fine.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. Well, Scott, I mean, looking at this, so 0.01 per 2,000, I mean, it sounds like you could technically start with a $2,000 account if you wanted to. It just would be, a little more aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah, and then as well, how many pairs? Maybe, you know, that the thing with the kids is they didn't start. I like 14 different pairs. I think they started with 4, and then rather than increasing the starting lot size, every time they got to a little bit more and they could afford another pair, we put another pair in and diversify the risk that way. So it kind of built up to the 14 and then start increasing the starting lot size.
Do you know what kind of drawdown your kids have seen on their accounts?
I think the maximum has been about 25%, something like that. My maximum has been nearly 40, but that was like the Ukraine thing, and you know, hedging out of that.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I guess so. For somebody who doesn't maybe have $10,000 to start with, they could start with less, but maybe use less pairs as a way to compensate for that.
Yeah,
makes sense. So you're using that 1.5 lot size multiplier.
Yeah. When Raymond, because Raymond, I mean, I got a shout out to Raymond because he really helped a lot with this, and he gave me, he didn't know me, and he gave me lots of help.
Raymond's awesome.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit hesitant. 1.5 felt really big because I was used to 1.05 or 1.1, maybe 1.2.
Right.
But I really liked it because it just makes it so heavier as it kicks in. The rebound doesn't have to be that much. Where before I was hoping for nice range in markets and survive a trend. With this, I was hoping, I wanted the trend, not too crazy a trend, but a reasonable trend, 7-8 levels, come back, and then you make a really nice amount on that particular trade.
By the way, can I ask you, why do you budget for 400 typically? I mean, why 400?
I started off doing 300, and that for a while worked really well. But then I think it was AUD maybe 12 months ago started to push out far, and when I kind of back tested from that, I just felt that 400, even in normal situations, 400 allowed me a nice amount of room.
Yeah.
It just kind of from what I've experienced so far, 400 feels like, if things in the world are kind of getting on okay, there isn't a new COVID or there isn't, Ukraine or anything like that, then 400, I feel comfortable with that.
Gotcha. I think Raymond actually explained it to me one time where he said, the banks are it's going to be hard to get out of that 400 pip range without coming back, just because, the banks like to keep it in a certain range. I don't remember exactly how he explained it, but it was something like that.
That was the thing that I realized at the start, because obviously every time when I was new to it, there was a big trend, I would always panic. You kind of, the brain would think, would it keep going and going and going? But eventually there would always be a point where it would stutter and then come back. Sometimes it would stutter and come back down, but same kind of thing that I've seen. At some point it does come back to correct.
Right. And then, like you said, having that higher lot multiplier, it makes it so you don't need as much of a retracement to get out of the ladder.
Yeah. What I did find though is just keep doing that at a certain point then becomes more risky for me, because 1.5 is nice, but I found that after level 10, the lot sizes then start to get really big, the exponential growth on it. So what I do is that, I allow it to do the 1.5 up to 10, and then after 10, I would calm down the lot multiplier. What I haven't got on this, which I would probably do when I get back in if I use this, would be to use the lot multiplier manager to automate it.
Yeah.
Because before I was manually doing that, but obviously if I change the lot multiple on one side, on the losing side, the other side would suffer as well. Because even though I've got yoga on it, I would always turn yoga off the pair that was causing the trouble. So at least I would be making some on the winning side.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Okay, well, let's keep going here. Pip step, you have a fixed pip step of 38 pips.
Yeah.
Multiplier of 1, max levels of 10.
Yeah. After 10, I would then go. After 10, I would take it to the 4-hour chart just to slow things down a little bit, and then have a look and see what's going on. And then if I'm happy with things, I would pick where trade 11 would be. So I'd work out, it's the next zone is 62 pips away. So then I'd set the pip step to 62, allow it to do 11, and then save that, and then. So it's kind of manually telling Titan then where I want the next one to be. It still might be 1.5, but rather than being 38 pips, it could be quite a significant distance then, where I think the next zone might be to pull it back.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. So so basically it'll stop opening levels after level 10, but then you'll allow additional levels based on what you just said.
Yeah. What I see. Yeah. If I think maybe 11, nothing crazy is going on, it just needs a bit more room. I might change it to the 4 hour and then maybe change the pit step to 50 and then just let it do another one, see how it gets on.
Gotcha. Scott, I just have to say, I remember in the interview about a year ago, you were like, hey, I'm totally new to Forex. I don't actually, you might have even said, I don't really know what I'm doing, just to be fair. And amazing to see how you've come along and now you're talking about zones and,
I sound like I know what I'm doing now.
Yeah, that's amazing. But it's also cool to just show people that, like, it was a journey for you and you were still able to find success even at, when you were getting started, and now you're just, even better as time's gone along.
Oh, yeah. And I think the more I learn, especially from you guys and obviously, in the videos, and then in New York, that I'm in the group there as well, and then playing with BSI, I kind of feel the more I know, the more I realize I don't know. And I find that really inspiring, that it's kind of like, I probably feel like maybe I've mastered 10% of what's potentially out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just as you've stuck with it, you've been able to learn even more, and that's gonna just lead to more success. And and that's how it goes. Yeah, it's awesome. Cool. Well, let's continue on here. So bidirectional mode, you have that set to true.
Yep.
Love bidirectional mode personally. Candlestick filter, have that set to true. Current time frame, you said you're running on the 1 hour, and then you'll raise it to the 4 hour if you go past level 10.
Yeah. This is a big thing that Raymond mentioned to me, and when I played with it, it was brilliant, because I feel that really puts the trades at better places rather than doing a fixed pip step. So it is like a fixed pip step of 38. What I found that setting with the candlestick feels more like a minimum of 38. If the next zone is 62 pips away, it will place it there. And Raymond said that he found in his testing as well that really did help, and I found the same as well. So it isn't really 38. It's 38 minimum, or when the next best zone is.
Right.
I found that Titan for me was putting in the trades where I would like to have put it in manually rather than just a fixed amount.
Sure. And I think, especially on those higher time frames, you're not getting in until there's, higher time frame momentum going in the direction of trade. Yeah.
This strategy felt a lot different, because I was used to, earning a lot less, but like virtually every hour, multiple, a dollar here, pound here kind of thing. But this feels a lot slower. It doesn't feel like you earn anything for hours, and then all of a sudden it all falls in.
Yeah. And then I see you have a minimum time between cost averaging trades set to 60.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
If things are going, getting a little bit out of hand, that might be something I would do as well. Send it to the 4 hour, and then minimum time maybe 4 hours, as well, just to slow things down.
You just have this match the
as the default.
Gotcha. Cool. And then let's see what else do you have here. Everything else set to false.
Yeah. Take profit 20. That felt big, because I was used to taking like 5 or 10. But 20 works really well on this as well.
Cool. Have you played with the take profit manager at all? Just curious.
Yeah, I'm playing a lot, especially since I've paused after Ukraine. I've got all the VPSs doing loads of tests. It's been overwhelming, but in a positive way. I've got, with all the new features, I'm testing so many different things.
Right.
Either trying to earn more profit with the same risk, or the same profit with less risk. Kind of playing with that.
Right. Yeah, I'm actually doing a lot of testing with Take Profit Manager, and I'm finding it's really helpful at times. Depends on the strategy. But yeah. So anyways,
I think this one does have the manager on, because I think it's level 10. To me, my kind of mindset with this was normal business until level 10, and at level 10, because it's really rare, I found that it needs to go anywhere near 10 levels of trade. So if it does get to 10 levels, I just want to get out. So then I set the take profit at level 10 to 1 pip, just literally make it as easy as possible to get out.
Right. I think I've loaded this on an old version. Oh, well, it says global settings here. It's supposed to say take profit settings. I think this is actually the new version. I need to update this. But yeah, anyways, I was trying to find the take profit manager under
Yeah, there is. Yeah. So level 10.
Gotcha.
It takes it down to 1.
Okay.
Yeah, and then yoga mode is a little bit lower than I used to have it, 7 and 5. Because I find as well with this strategy that under kind of normal conditions, the drawdown doesn't get very much. 5% is like a typical drawdown.
Right.
So if it gets to 7, just calm it down and back it at 5. Sometimes I might go like 10 to 7, something like that.
Yeah. Yep. Gotcha. Okay, so we've got, and then yoga mode, of course, like you said.
I always turn yoga mode off as well, the one that's given the highest drawdown, just so I can get some, increase the balance a little bit on the other side. And then depending if it's good, what I did when the Ukraine thing hit and EURNZD went crazy, on the winning side, I put the trailing stop loss on and then eventually increase that to 50 pips.
Okay.
Because it just fell and fell and fell and fell. So it was kind of nice that it was slowing down the rate of drawdown increasing as things got out of hand.
Gotcha. Okay, so sorry, just to backtrack, break that down. So basically, you said that you turn off yoga mode on the pair that's in the highest amount of drawdown.
Yeah. Or if there's, maybe if it's one currency and there's like 3 getting affected, though all 3 I turn yoga because I want it.
You want the bidirectional mode to work in your favor.
Yeah. And if I think it's just something that's happening and it's not going to be, it should be over soon, I will just do that just to be greedy and get more profits on the winning side.
Yeah.
If it's something that I was a little bit concerned about, like with the EURNZD, I would then put trailing stop on that and make it a lot bigger. So if it does fall through like it did, that was really slowing down the increase of the drawdown to allow me more room, and then I kind of manually hedged out of that and then just called it a day.
Yeah. And the nice thing about the trailing stop loss is that as soon as it's triggered, you're opening up another trade. And so you're just compounding those profits.
It worked really well.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it, I think. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that looks like it. Now, have you done anything with news much at all?
No, I just trade whenever. I just let it run all the time.
Cool. Okay. Well, awesome. Thanks so much for sharing this. And yeah, also shout out to Raymond as well.
Yeah, brilliant settings. The other things I've used as well, like 1.2 and 1.05, they all worked. It's just I found it was a balancing act. I can earn far more money on a lower lot multiple when it's ranging, but then when it gets a big trend, it becomes a lot harder to get out of that.
Right.
So I prefer this because I think you can still earn a nice amount per month, but it's a lot easier to get out of.
Yep. Gotcha. Cool. So we said we were going to go through these settings, and then you were going to kind of explain how you manually intervene with Titan X when drawdown gets higher, or just in general. And you kind of already answered that as we went through. I mean,
I think so. Yeah.
It sounds like when drawdown gets higher, that's when you'll lower the lot size. You'll turn yoga mode off on the pair in the highest drawdown. You'll switch your time frame to the 4-hour, and look for measure the pips to the next zone, and then adjust your pip step accordingly. When you've gone past the max 10 levels there. Anything else?
That's it, really. Yeah, I mean, if it is, like the Ukraine thing, sky is falling, then it was just putting the trailing stop loss on and then manually hedging on the opposite side.
That's right.
And then also picking a point, where do I want to bail? Because in the past, when I've done, on demo, I used to purposely set them up really aggressive and wait for a nasty situation that I forced myself. And I found that mentally, I would always want to at least break even, where I kind of decide, whatever the situation is, what loss would I be happy with? And then on that one account, I'm just thinking, I've done, I've been lucky to get out of everything. Titan's done really well, 4K loss just to get out of it, and then let the will settle down. Hopefully, I was happy with that. Rather than, I think if I tried to force it to break even, maybe I wouldn't have got out of it.
Right. Yeah, that's huge. I think that's huge. Just being willing to take a loss sometimes, just and keep that long-term perspective, and kind of the bigger picture perspective, and be able to say, I can take a 4K loss. And for you, I mean, at that point, you said, like, you were kind of hesitant. You're like, I don't want to lose 4K, but then you took a step back and you're like, well, shoot, I mean, I've made over 250K. Like, what's other 4K?
This isn't, and it's, and it wasn't like anything I'd ever traded before. It was a weird time to trade and probably high risk. So just get out and reassess and get back in.
So Scott, I think at this point, let's talk about where you're at now. So you mentioned to me before, I don't know if this is still true, but you've actually withdrawn most of your Titan X profits. And is that right?
Yeah, I've moved a lot of it over because I want to drip feed that into different coins, but I want to cost average into the price. So literally, every month or every other month, just dripping that in.
Crypto.
Crypto. Yeah. So the idea of put it in there, maybe drip it in over a year, and then forget about it. Hopefully one or two of those coins will explode, and I'm fine with that. So I'm thinking of when I get back in, maybe getting back in with like 150 or 200 grand, something like that.
Yep.
There's a few things we want to do. We want to get, we're looking at moving somewhere else, but property's a lot more expensive and things. So, my big goal is to, I've got 4 brokers. One I'm kind of using as a little bit of a play. There's only a small amount there, and the other 3 I'm building up. My big goal really is to get $1 million in all of them. If I can get £1 million in all of them, then that would, the income from that would then kind of take us to the next level type thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So that's cool that you're able to use Titan X as a vehicle to, gain profit and then take those profits and reinvest into other things to, further diversify and continue to grow and compound, and then, and then take those and put back into Titan X and just kind of this huge money machine and to get you where you want to be.
Yeah. Just snowball it.
Yep. That's awesome. Cool. Well, so tell us, so it sounds like you've pretty much paused Titan X for now, and you're focusing on other things. Tell us what you're doing now.
Yeah. Well, the original plan after Ukraine, I got out, so settle down, reassess, and then I started looking at the different features that weren't there originally when I started doing this, a year and a half ago. Ghost trains and stuff like that. So I started testing a lot with that. I got accepted into the UR training, so I've been doing that, which which is really good. And
it's Scott, can you actually tell us a little bit about that? I mean, I know you're brand new, you just got accepted. Huge congrats. What are you most excited about with the program?
The strategy is brilliant. But I think the biggest thing for me is the discipline and kind of the real world, watching your trade and not expecting to win every single one. Just seeing like a professional do it and know, okay, well, maybe my expectation, if I've won 10 and lost 1, my confidence dips, and maybe I was lucky or maybe I'm not right. But then when you look at it properly, that that kind of win ratio works really well.
Right.
That you are learning and you're getting better at that kind of manual. Because I really love Titan, but I want to get better at manual. Originally, I want to do well at manual, thinking that if Titan gets into a tricky spot, I'll be better at getting out of it.
Yeah.
But then going through UR's training, I've kind of really liked the manual, and then that's kind of given me another love for BSI. So I've kind of been doing loads of testing, and I kind of feel a little bit overwhelmed at the moment. So I took a little bit of a step back. But it's like a positive overwhelmment because there's so many new ideas with the features of Titan, manually trading on demo with what I'm learning from UR. But then what I'm really, really liking, and I think I'm probably going to get back in the market in the next week or so, is using the training from there with a kind of a mix of BSI to give me the alerts, and then when I get the alert, seeing what UR's trained me to look for, and if I'm happy with that, go manually trade, but let Titan do the manual trade. So, for example, if I was looking for 10 pips profit, normally I would do a 10 pip stop loss, but I'm playing with settings. One setting I'm really happy with at the moment is, and then even if it drops 30 or 40 pips, because everything's trending on the day, the hour, the 4 hour, the 15-minute, whatever, everything's really trending in a hard direction. Then using Titan really is, I feel, is a way to cheat. So if I did get that one and it was going to come down to and hit the stop loss and then go down 30 pips and then come back up, Titan's going to make me cheat. So I've been playing with that for the last couple of weeks, and it's been working really well. So it's kind of like using every single product that you do and merging them together into that kind of strategy.
Yeah. Really cool. Yeah, and that makes sense. That way you don't have to have the perfect entry. And instead of, taking the loss at the stop loss, you just cost average out of it. But you're in a better entry than, normal. And so you expect to be able to cost average out of that,
Yeah. And the settings that I'm doing allow it to go wrong 500 pips before it comes back. So I'm thinking, if it's trending so hard and I only want 10 pips, I can't really see it doing, coming back 500 pips when it was so positive on all the time frames.
Of course.
But same again, I'm not letting it come back all that way. I'll let it come back 150 pips and then tighten stop, and then I'll assess what happened. But on doing it on demo, the maximum it's done is 3 levels of trade before it bounced back and won anyway.
And are you using these same settings that we shared?
No, different settings. The main thing is it's lot multiplier 1. It doesn't get bigger, and the pip step is 20, and I'm looking for a take profit of 10.
Gotcha. In fact, I probably don't need to be sharing this anymore. Sorry, can you just say that one more time? What settings are you using that's different?
It's a lot multiple of 1. Pip step 20. I'm just going to pull it up now.
So lot multiple of 1. So you're not increasing the lot size with each level. It's just staying the same.
Yeah. Because when I put the lot multiple above 1, the amount of pips I can survive dramatically reduces. And my feeling on this is I'm only entering trades that I'm very confident I'm going to win anyway. BSI has been really picky.
Yeah.
And then if it wins, it's going to get 0.10%. So my goal ideally is 1% a day. So I need to get 10 or maybe 11 with fees taken into account.
Yeah.
So, that could be 10 trades, or it could be, 2 trades that have 5 ladders each.
Yeah. So what lot size are you using then? Like per cash?
I'm doing a 0.1 per 1,000 and letting it automatically decide what it is and compound it.
Yeah. 0.1 per 1,000, lot multiplier of 1. You said pip step of 20?
Pip step 20. And then what I'm also doing is at level 15, the take profit goes to 1. So that's come out 280 pips. So I'm thinking at 280 pips, I was expecting it, maybe to come down 10, 20, 30 pips before it came back up again. So obviously something's going a bit weird there. So at that point, it'll stop, and I'll do a similar strategy to what I do before. Look at the zone, set the pip step, that kind of stuff.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
But at that point, it's still only 21% drawdown. So my feeling is, if that crazy black swan event happens in 1 month, worst case, I'll lose 1 month's worth. I'm hoping to get 20% a month, so I'll maybe lose that 1 month. But what I also do as well is I won't get into, if I have multiple alerts, I won't get into the same currency more than once, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like say NZDUSD, and then the next alert has USD in it, I won't take that, because I only want to be exposed at any one time to one currency in case something crazy goes with that currency.
Right. Yep. Makes sense. For sure. Cool. Well, that all makes sense. I think that's it, Scott. I guess I would just ask you, as for anybody else that's watching this and, is trying to, have some of the same success that you've had, what would be some final words of advice, if anything else, besides what you've already shared?
Yeah, just jump in on demo, play around a lot. And if it seems daunting, and it isn't me being modest or anything, but if I can do it, anyone can do it. I was speaking with a friend this morning who was getting into it, saying if it seems really daunting. I was like, well, just a few days ago, I was on MT4 and TradingView doing things, and I remember thinking, I didn't even know this existed 6 months ago. And I felt, so just for me, the more you do it, the easier it seems to get.
Well, I was going to say, even in your interview from a year ago, you mentioned that, I don't think you even really knew much about Forex.
Oh no, 18 months ago, I had no clue what Forex was. Currency. I'd heard of currency traders, but no idea how it worked or anything like that. And it was really because of the pandemic. I had loads of extra time, and someone that I really trust, a friend, said, because I like algorithms in my business, he's really surprised I'm not into Forex trading. You can automate it. So I had a look, typed a few things in. You were the first advert. It was cost effective. I thought I'd give it a go.
Yeah.
And I was really lucky to find you guys, because I've learned since that there's a lot of companies that do things that aren't as nowhere near as good or as ethical. And,
right.
So I just assumed this is what Forex was like. It's only till I poked my head at other things, went, I'm staying with Blue Edge because that it's ethical and you know what you're doing. And you know, it's real.
Yeah, we'll appreciate that. And I just love to see it. I mean, here you are 18 months later, you know, up 250K plus in the market, and you know, it sounds like you've got amazing strategies that you're continuing to implement. And
that's the most exciting for me, because I don't feel that I've any way perfected it yet.
Right.
Maybe 10-20% of what I think, and then, you know, like in the New York training, you know, I'll watch a couple of the extra videos or the live training, and then more ideas, or I didn't realize that. So yeah, it just seems like it can only get better.
Well, that's really what trading is, right? I mean, the markets, it's a way to be creative. You know, there's a million ways to be profitable. There's also probably, you know, 10 million ways to be unprofitable, you know, but you know, there's not just one way of doing it, and everybody's different, and everybody has different psychology and background and understanding, and you know, that's what's beautiful about it as well, I would say.
Yeah. I think for me, the psychology part has been the hardest, because I've realized how greedy and impatient I am. You know, when I worked out, you know, if Titan does 10, 20 or 20% a month, compound it, you know, 5 years time, you know, I was kind of greedy for that, and then realizing fear of missing out. Revenge trading, I never thought anyone would do revenge trading. Then you find yourself doing it. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's the hardest part for me.
Have you read the Trading in the Zone book yet?
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite.
Yeah, because I just, especially when even Titan, I found myself sometimes increasing things to get things back, and then, you know, so yeah, being disciplined is the biggest thing I've learned from that.
Yeah, and to hear you say that, you know, you're willing to take a loss, and you know, that shows a lot of maturity in a trader, I think.
I think for me, it was more willing to take a loss and not worry about it 2 minutes later.
Exactly.
You know, to be comfortable with that, you know, and also, you know, if I lose 3 trades in a row, but yesterday I won 15 in a row, not to let those 3 beat me up, and I'm still positive, and, you know.
Yep, totally. Well, awesome, Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it. I know a lot of people have been looking forward to this, so I'm glad we finally were able to make it happen. Yeah, absolutely. So thanks so much, and yeah, we'll speak soon.
Yeah, excellent. See you soon. Take care. Bye, mate.
Thanks.
Bye.